Chart elements are used to refer to the various components of a chart. So in this chart, it depicts the data from columns D to H. This column chart has columns which are known as elements. There are grid lines in the background, which is another kind of element, and a legend at the bottom. At times you may want to make changes to these, and you can do it in different ways. There may be some things about the grid lines you don't like. It could be that they're not as prominent, so one approach is to right-click the item when you slide over a section of the chart. You see a pop-up, here it says a vertical value axis major grid lines, so right-click. This brings up a choice called Format Grid Lines. You might want to make those lines bigger. This is one of many different dialog boxes that could appear, so we'll widen the lines here. And when we make these changes, they show on the chart straight away. So the lines are a bit thicker, and now we'll close this dialog box. If we don't like a colour, we can make changes by right-clicking. Another way is when you select a chart, to the right there is a plus icon. So when you click a plus to the right of a chart when it's selected, you're alerted to the different chart elements in the various charts. Axis refers to the vertical axis down the left-hand side. It's also called the y-axis. The horizontal axis across the bottom is called the x-axis. They are in most of the charts, but you can make some changes to them. You can check to make sure at least one of them is present and click the arrow to the right. This shows both are present. If you don't want one of the axes, say the vertical axis, you can uncheck it. What isn't visible now in the background is an indicator down the left-hand side saying what these lines might mean. So we'll just press Ctrl Z to undo that, but this shows that you sometimes want to make changes to parts of the chart. Now let's look at data labels. When we slide over this option, numbers on the screen appear. Put the arrow to the right. We could put those in the center of each column, inside the base, etc. Whatever you prefer to choose. A data table shows the actual worksheet. If there was less data on the screen and if the numbers were lower, maybe we could major and minor horizontal lines. It's not that clear on the screen, so I'll click outside of it and make the chart larger. This isn't a necessity, but sometimes these minor grid lines would be helpful. You could also make those darker by right-clicking on them and going into Format Grid Lines and change the look of those. There's a lot of options here, but the easy entry into them is select a chart, plus button to the right, alerts us to the different chart elements, and we can continue and make the changes we wish.